Welcome to the Simplifier Podcast, where we turn complexity into clarity. I am your host, Daniel. The Simplifier Podcast is brought to you in partnership with TechPon, and our mission with this podcast is to help SaaS founders connect with their audience using the right messaging. My guests for today are Jesper and Loredana, the founders of Salestools. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
It's nice finally to meet you, Daniel. Seeing all your posts on LinkedIn talking about positioning, and we're happy when you invited us to join you here today. So we love to see your magic and work here on this.
That's great. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Before we start, can you please tell us more about your background and what motivated you to start Salestools?
I can make, it can either be a very long version or a short version. I'll try to give you the short one. So back in 2014, Loredana and I were building a CRM system we sold into financial institution companies in Denmark, and we actually sold that company. But during that, we realized, and we had a conversation with a mentor I cold called. He came to our apartment in Copenhagen at that time, and he told us, you got to learn sales. And if you can put data inside your CRM system, that's what the world needs. It was in 2014. Just to give you an insight, this guy, he sold his company back in 2006 for over $1 billion to Intel. That is comparable to 100 billion exit today. So he done incredibly well. Fast forward, we had this issue. We wanted to access LinkedIn data to move it into the CRM system. That didn't exist any products in the market, scrapers, no nothing. So we decided to create that and launch it when we sold the CRM system to a financial institution group in Denmark. And we built the first LinkedIn automation as a category back then that didn't exist anyone. Now there came a lot of copies of what we did back then ever since, and I feel every week there are coming new ones. Not understanding the market in that way, but some young engineers see some shiny tool and they're like, if somebody can make money there, I can do it too. Not quite how it works, but that's how we got started. Early on, you can say back then there wasn't all these open source frameworks and frameworks in general that there are today. So we wrote millions of lines. We had 30 engineers early on, bootstrapped from 0 to 1 million in recurring revenue in 8 months when we started. And we had to build a lot of code over time and innovate and listen to customers. And we started out, I would say, what it cost us to build the MVP, $100 back then. And we started out asking customers, you wanted this feature because nobody else did it. We asked them to pay for it and then release it to everyone else. So our customers early on paid for the entire journey building out the product line instead of taking out some money. Today that would be harder to do, but that's what we did. And the reason why we did what we did was we wanted to make sales easy. I always like sales. It's the number one driver of a company, and sales is so fundamental important when you're in B2B business. But my goal has been from day one, together with Loredana, was to make sales easy, take all the burden off the salesperson, make their life easy so they can focus on just closing deals. And we're on the edge to fulfill that mission. After 10 years, we're getting on the other side of the iceberg, I would say. And actually can fully power the sales teams, go-to-market teams in a completely different way. And that's happening right now. And this is the exciting time about technology. So I'll let Loredana, my partner, explain a little bit more about some of the other things we did from people tracking, the story with that.
Thank you, Jesper. So yes, we started the Salestools back in 2014, and on that journey, we realized all our customers. We had MongoDB, first, it's a unicorn, right? From your first sales team with us. We had Marketo, all entire sales team from Europe, and we learned how they were prospecting into enterprise accounts, and they were prospecting minimum 35 people per company. Those were different personas yes, per ICP, different departments and different story and narrative in the outbound cold outreach for each of those personas. So they could have been even 5 personas. The champion, the influencer is different. They were different. They were the decision maker for sales, the decision maker for marketing, decision maker for revenue, right? The CRO that would have bought Marketo. So in that journey, we were consulting and working with them. Every 2-3 weeks, we would have had a call with the team and understand how their sales was evolving, what the approach, what was working. We were used to get 45% reply rate on our outbound emails. 45% reply rate. When I went to San Francisco 2019, people were talking about that and they thought it's a story. No, at Salestools, that's why we are the grandfather of any sales acceleration automation for LinkedIn. We are the guys. We are the guys why this market was created. So we were the this niche product which became a category. We invented this category, the LinkedIn sales acceleration. Me and Jesper.
But then in 2018, so we added on, sorry to interrupt, the ability to take an IP address to understand who's visiting as a company, because we realized that's fitting that gap to have. And we did that back in 2017 to build out a big network. Back then, Lead Feeder, it was connected to Google Analytics, so they pulled the data from Google Analytics, and Lead Feeder became quite big on that. The problem was in 2019, Google said, we're going to shut that down, and Lead Feeder had to play catch up to build a database, which they did really well. But fast forward on that, in 2018, I think it was in February, Loredana and I were invited by some consultants to come to PwC's world headquarters to make a presentation on the company tracking to some of the biggest financial institutions in Europe and Asia. And I remember the biggest bank in one of the biggest countries in Asia, these guys, and at the time, there was an objection to me. And he goes like, I don't want to see the company, I want to see the person. I want to know the person visiting a website. And then my geeky brain goes like, first objection, right? That's not possible. I wish I could do it. Then fast forward 3 months later, this has been stuck with me, and I start diving into coding protocols to different type of ways you could solve this. And 3 months later, we came up with a strategy on the code base that actually could identify a person on a website.
And this happened back in 2014. This discussion was 18.
The people tracking was in 18.
Okay.
Because of the journey with customers we worked with. And that became an enterprise product. We didn't focus on small companies because, you know, when you can price something, you can price a lot if it has a high value to someone. So if I go right now with you in Sahara's desert, this water, right? You will pay $50 if you're thirsty because you can't get any water. But if you go to the gas station,
I have my own water for today. I was prepared, but I understand the idea.
That's then right. You don't use a lot. So for an enterprise, they're willing to pay a lot more. So we obviously focused there because the value was so high. That's why we never spoke about it, because we had an X number of customers and they will roll it out when they change jobs in their organization. So going down market and make it something everybody can use was never something we focused on. That's why many people don't know it.
But I want to back Jesper here a bit, Daniel. Go ahead if you have a question.
I wanted to ask, can you tell me today what Salestools is? So I understand that you integrate multiple workflows in the platform. And I just wanted to make sure that I have all the big picture. So first you identify the visitors on the website. I would really love to understand today how the product works today.
So I think the simple way to explain that, if you take HubSpot, they everything for inbound, and they created that market for inbound. If you take about a whole pie, inbound is about 10% of the potential market. The remaining 90% is never going to hear you. So HubSpot created this whole inbound movement. They did incredibly well. Very successful in that and branding. Sales tools are and will become the so-called HubSpot, but the sales tool for the remaining 90% that you gotta go out and identify and close the gap between who came on your website, who just installed the technology that you fit with, so you have an instant alert that you can reach out to them because we have Tech Tracker that we build out as well. So that entire gap, how do you get out and talk to a person using relevancy, signals, or just your ICP and persona on top of artificial intelligence, generated models that can be targeting you much deeper? That is what we are and what we're doing. So to make an example in layman terms, we make it easy to go out and say, here's a list on LinkedIn of people I want to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
You take one click, you let our model write your templates for the AI.
Mm-hmm.
Starting next week, our model, once somebody replies, is going to send a LinkedIn message, email, connection request. Once somebody replies, you're going to be able to build in your objections. So if somebody comes back with an objection when they reply, you fill that position. You have an integration slide right now with Calendly, and you have the ability to talk about what deeper than just your value proposition, so the model can go around that. So when somebody replies an objection, like if we're selling it, hey, we're using another sales tool, for me that's not a no, but 9 out of 10 salespeople it is. So the AI model that we trained based on millions of emails from customers and dissected on industries and LinkedIn messages is going to be able to take this information from that you provided to us and reply on your behalf within 5 minutes. And see, this is so important because if you're sitting you're in Bucharest, Romania now. If you're sitting in Bucharest, Romania, and you're selling to a company in San Francisco, they're literally starting the day when it's 10 o'clock in the night for you. So if they answer at 1 o'clock in the night that they're interested, they want a demo, sales tools will reply on your behalf within 5 minutes with the Calendly link. And then if they don't click on the link, they don't get back to you, it's going to follow up after a day. If in between there was supposed to come a second follow-up, they booked the meeting in Calendly, we remove them based on, we can see from the Calendly API, the demo is booked, we're going to remove them from further follow-up. So we take that burden out of salesperson, and we make it real time. When somebody want to have a conversation, they're going to see your email if it comes very fast back. But if you get back in the next morning when you wake up, as you will do today, there's a chance you get buried between all the spam mail or the attention is already gone from the buyer that you don't win that deal. So that is what sales tools do today, and then they will come to that. Yeah.
So basically you automated this entire workflow from what I see, from what I understand. Okay. So you can say it's an automation, sales automation.
Yeah, and go-to-market, sales automation. I think sales automation aligns better with the brand sales tools. Go-to-market, you can get confused with marketing.
Go-to-market.
And then you get into a bucket in what we call no man's land, like in Berlin, where we're between the wall and the military. It's kind of a gap you don't want to be in because nobody knows where you are and who you are. So, and I think we have done that before as a mistake, and we learned that the hard way. So you don't want to be no man's land, right? So I think sales
story,
acceleration, sales automation, at its core, it's a very correct definition. And I think if you go even deeper, it's about the whole SDR workflow and AE support, account executive to help them close more deals. Because again, we had a PE-owned big SaaS company coming to us. They laid off the entire SDR team, which the private equity bought them. They go like, that's costing too much. We're going to lay it off. Now AEs, go produce yourself. Not stressful for them, right? So they joined sales tools. Long story short, exactly how we're building it out. It can take the burden off the AE to just do the ability to do demos, follow-ups on its own and close deals. What you will see sales tools be able to do in a few months is when you have, for example, a lost deal in your CRM, after X number, you can assign that. then it will do a follow-up from an AI SDR, a virtual person in our system, to actually make sure we do a follow-up on lost deals when renewal is supposed to happen, so we can get in touch with them again. That's something the customer will be able to automate. But also, if you look further down the road, account managers, when renewals come, we're looking at how can we actually also assist them with that and solve that, because in the end of the day, it's a new sale, even though they're a customer, you got to maintain them. And I think that's fundamentally, it goes so deep into all the functionalities, but those are the core issues we're solving for companies. And then I can tell you the struggle Tata Communication had. As an example, why we build social engagement into the platform. So Tata Communication is one of the biggest providers of infrastructure with data in the world. So there's a chance, if I was I'm in Europe now, but if I was in the US, there's a 60% probability we will go through a Tata Communication cable. Large companies that move in data directly on those cables outside the telephone providers for security reasons, so they control it end to end, and they need the fastest route. So they do what is called a request for a proposal when they do sales. That means that there are X number of providers that deliver the same service who offers the best price. If they're aware who you are, you get in front of that person, you get into the RFP. So the problem with Tata is they're sitting in India, they have people in the US and Europe, but a lot of those individuals, when they reach out, they were not connecting on LinkedIn, they were not building the engagement, they didn't get in front of the RFP, which essentially raised their revenue because they could beat them on price. So we build social engagement for the enterprise team. And social engagement means you're monitoring in our system the leads you want to bring into the accounts and define people. And if somebody posts on LinkedIn, then we will automatically comment on them. And you've tried this because the system commented on yours and you were blown away how accurate it was.
Yeah, actually, this is how we first started the discussion, because we met at an event. It was a networking event, and then I just received that comment from you. I could have swear that was written by a person, but it was very, very well written, super relevant, and then when we met the second time, then I understand that basically it was automatically generated, and you explained me the whole process. So from my understanding, from what you told me, I understand the tool is super complex, and now, of course, there is a very important aspect. How do you communicate this in the market? So what I will try to do today is to come up with a clear and comprehensive short framework. I know that until now this wasn't a priority for you, because the focus was on the development of the product, the interaction with the customers, and you also told me that it's the working process right now with the new website. With this exercise that we are going to do today, I just hope I can come up with something that may help you define the messaging and the positioning on the new Salestools website. So that's why I prepared a board in Miro. I will share the board with you and also share the screen, and together to try and define. Let me please first tell me if you can see the screen. If you can see the board. Yes. In Miro. Can you see it? Okay. So the idea here, what I prepared is there are some boxes that we need to fill in. Basically, one thing I saw, I work with, I'm a product marketing consultant. I'm a messaging expert. So I work with a lot of SaaS companies, a lot of tech companies, brilliant people, amazing technologies. There are some times when it's really difficult to explain in simple words. what your product does, what's the value that the product brings for your target audience. So what I try to do is to come up with a framework, with a step-by-step framework that allows us to extract all this relevant information and first of all define a clear headline and sub-headline for the website. This is the hero section, and this is maybe I don't know, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I think that around 70% of the website visitors, they do not go past the hero section. They don't scroll down. Most of the visitors that come on your website, they just read the hero section, and after that they decide if they scroll down or not. So I would say this is one of the most important assets that you have from a marketing perspective, the hero section. And the idea with the hero section is that it must convey the value of your product in simple terms, and it must answer to the visitors. Each visitor more or less has the same questions. What your product does, who is it for, and what's in it for them, what's the value that you can generate for them. So to try to define this messaging from the website, I propose you to dive deep into these boxes here in the left. As you can see in the left, we have 8 boxes, and each one of these boxes then we can use to define with the first 3 up, we can try to define the headline, and with the other 5 the sub headline. It will be a combination. So the idea with this exercise, I'm not saying that hopefully we will reach the final version of the headline and sub headline, but my goal with this is to give you a good alternative. So it would be a big step forward for you in the process that you already started to define the messaging and positioning. How does this sound to you? Okay. So Loredana, you mentioned earlier about personas. So it's super important to define your positioning. It's super important to understand who are the personas, the people who are using your technology. So in Salestools case, what would you say is the main persona,
for the outbound platform,
the number one persona that you're targeting
and
right now?
salespeople use it to generate new opportunities and pipeline. Decision makers are the VPs of sales and the business development manager.
VPs of sales,
Decision
okay.
makers.
And typically they need a minimum of 5 salespeople, SDRs in the team.
Or salespeople.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
for the outbound platform, we have VP of sales and business development managers.
I really want to go short here. When we created the visitor tracker, one problem we realized all our customers have millions of emails sent every year. So millions. We have over 50 millions of emails sent by our customers in the last years. What it goes that? The problem if you have all these emails, very low reply rate is not compared with 2016 when I had 45% reply rate. Now, for the average person doing just templates is 1.06 reply rate. For the good ones, it's 6% reply rate to your outbound cold outreach.
If you take across the line, they can be a bit higher, but give or take, because they're not already hitting the ICP. So a lot of people get that wrong.
Exactly, what I'm talking about broadly. So now we have these emails and it's 1.06.
For the bad ones, it's
1% basically.
Which is not bad.
1.06
and now,
for the bad ones. Okay.
you have all these accounts, so you're targeting the accounts, you're targeting the people, and you don't know what's happening after. Every time an email is sent into a company, you're ghosted because nobody's replying. What is happening? Are they ready? You don't get any signal, right? So you have and what's happening actually behind the company. And we had these cases because they came after, and we identified with the visitor tracker, new champions, new decision makers on our website, but tied to the same account. So what we do actually, because we had those accounts that we were targeting in HubSpot, and we had the leads that we actually sent initially cold outreach in HubSpot, because we sync it from Salesforce to HubSpot, but we had no replies now, right? We're still ghosting, like what's happening? Are they ready to buy? Maybe they are the wrong ICP. But what happens a week or two after, we start having visitor track, new people identify with the visitor, the exact person in those accounts, and we get the signal from HubSpot sent from exact visitor, right? This email, this is the person, these are the pages they visited. He visited 4 times in the last 5 days. We score those leads, we qualify them, and that is what is very, very powerful from the sales perspective. Now you get new people that you should be talking to, not the ones you actually initially contacted with, because those were just maybe the first point of contact. Now you have the person that understands your product, keep visiting your website. Now this is the gold lead for a sales team. Now this is the person should be talking to a sales rep from your company. That is the value, what it's bringing, building the bridge between outbound and inbound, right? It is actually an inbound led outbound, which some people use in the industry. But now for the marketer persona, because we have a marketer that we have customers, they have 3 million euro, yes, in paid AdWords every month. They are maybe identifying around 300 leads from that budget a month. Conversion is very low. The CAC, the customer acquisition cost, this is a second use case, yes, where we actually bring the visitor
So the
data
marketers
to
are
give
the second
them
use case.
for those
Is that
2
right?
million, instead of having 300 leads, now they get 600 leads. So we can identify the person that clicked on the paid ads, right? That already they pay to Google. Google doesn't give them this data, this breakdown into the industry, the person, the pages, doesn't score them. So we identify new leads on the same budget. How is that? Imagine they just double the amount of qualified leads, cut into the CAC basically, finally, because it increased over the 3 years. So now 600 leads, boom, same campaigns because they were good. Or some of them, they optimize their campaigns, because our campaigns, they might get leads in a special region. Let's say we have a big tracking company that it operates, let's say, in London, but they got leads at some point from Manchester, from some of their paid adverts. And of course, that was not a lot, but was about 50,000 euro. And we saved that. We seen that from those campaigns, they keep getting visitors in Manchester. So they stopped those campaigns. Even if you say to Google specific, I want leads from this location, it doesn't work.
But that's not our main business.
Yes, but it's another use case. Yeah, that is what he's talking
Mm-hmm. Okay. This helps me. This gives me a lot of understanding. So thank you for this explanation. I see. Indeed, there is huge value in this. Now, help me understand from a persona perspective. So we have the VPs of sales and business development managers that we target for the outbound platform.
to implement
What
the
other
visitor
type of
side,
personas
we
we
need
have
the CMO,
here?
we need the marketing manager, the demand generation. Yeah. Okay.
So for the visitor tracker, we have CMO.
But I think that the most important
please
is to
repeat?
focus on the
CMO,
sales side.
and
Like the
who
most
else
important part
did
of
you say?
Salestools, once the people, the sales teams are using Salestools,
So would you summarize that the most important maybe okay when we can communicate by role, by persona, by job title, for example, or we can communicate by department. But yeah, I would suggest it's super important for you from this hero section communication perspective, from this hero section messaging, and from the value proposition perspective. It's super important for you, I would say, to define. If you're talking to the sales teams, to the sales departments, I would suggest using this in the messaging. So if this is the most important, maybe Maybe
forget to sell into
you can
marketers.
shift the
They're too
communication
pampered.
directly to the sales team.
You focus on the sales. But I tell you, I've been emailing my CMOs, and I get suddenly out 3 weeks later an email from them. I never heard from you, but my VP of sales said we should talk. This is about splitting your personas from your outbound. And I'd be like, I send you 80 emails, come on. So I don't even want to bother with marketing people. They're too spoiled, and they only want the shiny brand, like the CFO that will take SAP, even though they're no longer good, because it's safe, right? So I would never focus on marketers. It's a lost case, and you really give you an example. Dream Data, they spent 6 million euro in burn to make 1 million annual recurring revenue to sell to marketers. It's a very difficult market to sell to.
So our focus are VPs of sales, the sales leaders.
VP of sales, business owners, founders, and they're not the main one, but they're also users of the platform, right? That's the main one. So let's stick to what matters.
Okay. Okay. Let's stick to what matters. Okay. So
The way I do
we
company
defined
size
this.
is
What is the company types that you are targeting?
obviously tech companies,
I
but I think
understand.
we're gonna expand.
Or
If you know niche, the
industries.
SaaS companies, right?
Please.
That's what everybody sells into, but they have the knowledge and understanding. But in B2B companies, the reason I say that is you don't need to communicate at a very simple layman terms to understand your offering. While if I sell into a small American business where they have no technical expertise, you got to spend a lot of onboarding power. But if we really narrow down companies that receive funding, B2B companies with +5 people in sales, that would be the sweet spot. So minimum 5 salespeople, that's how I look at it. Yeah.
So B2B companies with at least 5 salespeople. These are the type of companies. Okay.
In sales, not in the company.
With a team of minimum 5 people,
Yeah.
salespeople.
That you can check in Sales Navigator.
With a
You go
sales team
headcount,
of at least 5 people, of minimum
by
5 people.
sales department, minimum 5. You can see that in Sales Navigator.
But what is the ideal
Minimum
number of people?
15
I mean,
minimum.
what
Teams
would
that
be the
are over
ideal scenario
15
for you? Where is
salespeople,
Salestools?
full sales cycle, salespeople, AEs that build their own pipeline, that they want to build the report and use social engagement as well to tap into the large accounts, mid-sized accounts, large accounts. Into.
And also, this category has historical high churn if you sell into SMB, small businesses. Once you have 5 users or more, it's a net positive growth on the companies. They don't churn, and that we see historically. So that's another, because the building process. While the one-man show, he's changing tools every week because he doesn't know what he's doing, and actually don't try to build an outbound. They just think they're getting a magic pill. They have a pain, but they don't know which painkiller to use. And the typical entrepreneur, let me explain it like that. They want to send 10,000 emails today and believe to get on with demos, but that's just not possible anymore. You got to have a different process.
Okay. Okay. And can you describe me their current workflow? You already told me some information, but let's summarize. What
They
is
will
their
have a CRM
current workflow?
system
How are they
to
handling
manage
things
their
right now before
customers,
Salesforce? What are
potential
they
customers,
currently
their
doing?
leads. And then around that, they will have some email outbound tool. They might have a LinkedIn automation. They will have somewhere to buy data. They will have many of these companies we sell into, they will have 8 to 10 tools doing what we do 90% of. So we talk about consolidation and saving money.
They use 9 to 10 tools. Okay, 9 to 10 tools,
Probably
and
replace 5 to 6
you
of
can
them.
offer all this in one
So we're
platform.
talking about freeing up budget. which in these times I think most companies want to do. They're revisiting the spend, and this is really a major opportunity.
Yes.
So you can help them replace 5 or 6 from these tools. Okay. What would you say is their biggest pain?
Get to talk to new
What is
potential
the
customers.
biggest challenge
Have a
they
conversation
have
to
right
get
now,
there.
these
I think
companies?
that's the biggest problem everybody has in sales. Remember, it's not everybody who leads.
How to reach new potential customers, leads, new qualified leads.
I think any B2B
So
company,
this is
that's
their
the most
biggest problem
expensive
right now.
function, and you have to invest there to grow. Otherwise, you gonna remain stale and decline. So I think if you find a company that don't have this pain, I think they're lying to themselves. I know. I talk to some companies, they'll be like, "Oh, we only get customers from referral. We don't need more customers." Well, they might have a small boutique consultancy firm and they don't need more. I agree, but the rest of us, we can always have another customer, 10 or 100 or 1,000.
Okay.
To make the outbound
And
process
what would you say is
predictable,
their biggest
easy,
need and desire?
and work, actually delivering results, right? And
To make outbound process.
this is again, I come back
easy
to
and
why we're selling to
generate
5+
consistent results
sales
from it.
teams. Every time I had these small, amazing founders, which I love, I want to help them. I spend a lot of time helping them. They will go like, we are having this ICP, we're sending emails to these individuals. And I will challenge them, say, don't do that. Split it up in ICP, persona, champions, da, 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 da. Then you get results. And I see over and over again. They're just emailing the CTO, and then they come back a month later, I'm not having results. And I go like, yeah, CTOs, they don't respond to emails or LinkedIn messages. They don't care. You're going to build up from somebody else in the organization. I told you that. And they never do it. That's why when you have more salespeople, you have a structure in place. And that's the challenge for small businesses. Their need and desire is to get the results, but they don't want to do the work to get there. So what we're doing, obviously, with all the automation building out is removing that friction. So they set up once, hit start, and then they don't have to worry about it because now they got, as you say, bulletproof methodology that is running for them. So we're solving that for those companies that don't want to put the effort, that cannot listen.
Okay.
As simple as that. Capability.
Okay. And if we're the capabilities, features, and benefits, we also need to fill in this. So the capabilities, for example, we have the capability is visitor tracker. What we do, we track visitors, website visitors, and the feature will be how we are doing this. I mean, we need to explain how we are doing
sales
this.
automation.
So what would you say
that behaves like a sales development rep without being a human being? So an AI SDR. Simple way to explain it. That term's being misused by companies these days. Companies will say, we put a little bot on our chat, now you have an AI SDR. No, SDRs are not doing chat, those are inbound lead people. So you can see that is becoming a misguided term shortly, which is a bit challenging for us because we are truly becoming an AI SDR. We're filling in that role minus cold calling from A to B. While you look at qualified.com, I'm going to call them out because they misused the entire term. They put a bot on the chat and now it's an AI SDR. In my world, who takes the chat is an inbound lead person. It's not an SDR or inbound SDR. It's nothing to do with that. And this is the challenge. So many companies take some hot buzzword and use because then they hope to get some reach. Some marketers are misusing these words. And we're doing, again, marketers, right? We're doing, we're delivering that.
And there are other agencies that they claim they have an AI SDR, but they do it manually. So there are some things they're not delivering. They're just starting at, I don't know, 15,000 a year. So very few customers can buy it. It's just like a trap, let's put it this way.
Then they have outsourced team 24/7 Philippines handling the mailboxes.
So many people fall into the dream while we're actually building it. So the AI SDR, because we worked with this product and all our customers did this manually, so we have data, millions of data.
But let's focus on what's important.
Yeah, so that's why we can build.
Okay. So this is the biggest capabilities. We will stick to this, but I would love to
get more meetings
to describe the other capabilities. Capability
without
number
manual work.
number 2, for example.
This is what I wanted to do in 2014. Make it easy to get meetings without doing any work. I'd rather go play golf and then have a okay.
This is, I think this is more like a benefit. This is the final outcome, I would say. But the feature, the capability may be, okay, so we have sales automation, we have visitor tracker, we have, the capabilities are more in this, regarded to this, to what you are doing. And what you are doing allows them to get this final outcome, which is more meetings with no manual work. This is more like a benefit, I would say, which is a great benefit actually, because everybody wants this.
Features are simple, right?
No, but we're...
Yes, tell me. We can stick to this sales automation for now. Let's jump to
data,
features, because
email,
we also want
LinkedIn automation, social engagement,
to keep it as short as
replies.
possible.
You can go long that list.
So LinkedIn
data.
So we have LinkedIn automation,
tracker,
email automation,
tracker, auto replies, auto prospector. As I said, it can become a very long list.
Okay. So what would you say is the most important feature from all of this? Or you cannot name
I think
one.
it's a process,
it's a
right?
mix.
That's why
of
you
all
see
of
in
them.
the first part,
and that's why the tool is so valuable.
Buying 8 to 10 tools because they need data, they need a process, they need to reach different channels, and they need to make them work together. So I would say that you can do a multi-channel prospecting. It's super important because you wrote me on LinkedIn before this meeting with the link, but I might not have been on LinkedIn. I've only been on my email. Now, luckily, I was on LinkedIn. I wouldn't have seen it. So different people respond on different channels, and you gotta be on those channels where your customers are. But there's no size fits at all. Everybody's different. Some people, like my sister, I cannot write her a text. She will only be on Snapchat. I have a younger sister. I'm older. So for me, I don't have Snapchat, so it's hard to keep communication with her, while it's easy with somebody else on WhatsApp, as an example. So different people, different platforms. Now I'm talking more generic, right? But the same goes for LinkedIn, email, and channels in B2B. There aren't the professional channels in B2B, so there's not that many of them, which is the good part. And then the data comes into the AI model. Excuse me?
Okay, so we have this multi-channel prospecting. Please. So we have this multi-channel prospecting. No, it's
then the data
I just
about
summarized
the company,
what you're
about
saying.
what technologies
Please
they're
finish
using,
your
about
idea.
what you, Daniel, posted on LinkedIn can go into your personalization one-to-one done by AI. So that means that you get something about, we know you're using HubSpot, in the end, we can say, be aware you're using HubSpot. This is how we integrate it. And then we talk about your latest LinkedIn post where you talked about the headline. That was probably a week ago, but I saw it. For ClickUp, you talked about the all-in-one platform or tool or whatever they said. Then the model can read the image too. Then it can summarize what you talked about, what you shared, and actually write an icebreaker. So when you get this communication on LinkedIn as a connection request, as a LinkedIn message, an email, it doesn't start out saying, hey, I'm selling XYZ. It's going to come out asking a question or congratulating you or challenge your point of view in something you did socially while mentioning something relevant around the company and its technology. And this is where all this comes together. Now, I send you a LinkedIn message with my URL to the website. You copy that URL. You don't click on it or anything with the tracker. You don't do that on LinkedIn. Then you come to the website. Now, the visitor tracking pick up, you actually came to the website, so we connect the dots. Hey, this is a guy from the outbound campaign, but there's no direct relation other than we know that. You get that notification Slack. Now you see that Jesper came to your website on the Simplifier. They give you a signal he might be ready to buy because he's coming back and I reached out to him. If you don't have the full intelligence, now an AI SDR can then automatically follow up based on how it's trained to actually take on that lead. So if I went to the pricing, that shows I'm ready to buy, communicate with me. If I go to your career page, if you had one, I'm probably the wrong person to cold email now. So the model can then adjust. That's where all of the features is going to be simplified, like your company name Simplify, into one platform at the moment and make it easy for the users. You don't need to train so much.
Okay. What clicks with me so far? I'm not part of your ideal customer. I don't have at least five salespeople, but I'll tell you what clicks with me is this sales automation. This clicks with me, makes sense. This AI SDR also makes sense. Also, this multi-channel prospecting, which I would say that summarize everything that you have after this, the LinkedIn automation, email automation, data, visitor tracker. So this is what clicks with me so far. And I would like to define together with you, what would you say is the biggest benefits they get? Is that more meetings with less manual work? This would be their biggest benefit. What would you say is the biggest benefit for your customers after they're integrating Salesforce?
Major benefit is, first of all, you stick to the core. You're gonna book more meetings, less effort, but you also can save people doing it. So you're replicating an entire person in the process. Instead of 60 days ramp up time to get somebody to run a process, you click a button, 5 minutes later, it's running. And it will do, minus a cold call, everything you do. The only thing is you probably need a LinkedIn profile if you want to use that channel. But then there's a company that needs LinkedIn profiles that are verified with a passport. If you need that companies then can change the name on. So that's something that can be used if you think like ultimate scale. But at the end of the day, the benefit is more meetings, less cost, consolidate budget. Because I think nobody realized that. You get rid of some tools, you can save a lot of money, you can save a lot of time, but most important is you can grow your business more predictable in peace. 24/7. Yeah, and you can run
the sales process is more predictable.
So you can have one running in Australia when you sleep, one in Singapore when you sleep, then you have Europe when you wake up, and then America while you sleep.
And it's the sales. So the sales process is more predictable, and you can also replicate.
A sales development rep today, he will do about 40 touch points a day. That's the typical, like, professional one that have results. We're not talking about the Indian spammers. I don't want to put them in a bucket, but I can see in the data. So the enterprise customers coming from that region, they tend to send a lot of outbound emails, and it's getting harder for them. While the really good SDRs, they're sending 40 touch points a day, they spend 15 minutes personalizing a message. Now, an AI SDR, you can just deploy 5 of them. Now you're reaching 200. And it's in minutes doing what they do in a whole business day, but then spread out the activities over the day so we don't get into spam folders, we don't trigger LinkedIn limits and so on. So then you can deploy multiple to have a predictability at a fraction of the real cost of hiring these people. And then you will have to buy all the tools on top for them as well to make them functional. Then I would say 1/10 with the tools and the salary. That's where you can get an AI SDR at Salestools starting September 1st, right? So yeah, it's going to change everything.
Okay, this makes sense. So, to summarize things up, we have all this information. What we need to do now, I will take each box and put it here, and together with you try to reach a final format for our exercise. Try to define the headline and sub-headline based on the information that we have here. Needs, features. So now, after this discussion, I already had information about what you are doing, but this discussion, for me personally, it's very very useful because I understand much more and much better if what the product does, how does it help, the value of the product. And I think it's super important for you. It's super valuable what you are doing. It provides a lot of value for your clients. And I'd say it's very, very important to make sure you communicate this in the right way. So I also made a screenshot about the actual format of the website. As I said, and you already told me, this wasn't your main priority, but I see, why did I do this? Because I see some information that you already give me some information you had on the current website. You have this sales acceleration platform. You tell some information about what you are doing. You help companies identify their dream customers faster than better before. So what I would suggest is, let's try and write a headline right now and the sub headline. So I like this sales automation as AI SDR. AI SDR. So you can also use sales automation, AI SDR replicating the human SDR. So maybe something could be sales automation platform. So if it were for you to describe what Salestools is, you may say either sales automation platform, from what I understand so far about the company, or you can try to integrate AI SDR. AI SDR platform. I'm not sure how this sounds, but this AI SDR, I think it's a great asset for you, and you can use it in the communication because it offers a lot of information. So the headline must be something around sales automation platform or AI SDR. I'm just telling you my opinion on this.
And I would Figma to see, but I wrote it for the new design we're doing. I did do a new headline, so just bear 1 second. I'm going to find it for you. AI SDR for email, LinkedIn, unlimited scale. That's what we put now. email, comma
AI
LinkedIn.
SDR. Let me write it down.
Then I put a
AI
dash
SDR
limits to
for
scale. They can be
LinkedIn.
rewritten a little bit, but or reach
Email,
unlimited scale
LinkedIn,
or scale 24/7.
unlimited skill.
Scale.
But I don't like this. Yeah, scale. But I don't like this one. And come back to position.
Scale, not skill. Okay, scale.
You go to the builder's market and you buy a box of nails today. You're not buying
AI
nails, you're buying
SDR.
the outcome. You want to put a painting on the wall, so you're buying the nails to get the outcome, right? Or to build your table. You don't buy nails just for buying nails. Nobody advertises nails, they advertise the outcome. And if we say AI SDR for email and LinkedIn, it says what we do, and it can be 24/7. But it doesn't take into effect you as the customer, Daniel. Who are you and what is it solve for you? And I think nailing it around that, it's much more relatable in positioning. And I think that needs to be the focus to talk about what does it do for you. Because you come to the website, you want to see what we can solve for you. It's not all about sales tools when you come. It should be all about you. So you engage in and you go, I want to work with sales tools. They're solving my problem.
Could be something like the new way of building pipeline is the only way, or the only way.
The only way sounds limited.
Yeah, I'm thinking moving forward. So it's like because everybody would add AI. If you don't use AI, you'll stay behind. So something about the fact that this create momentum and FOMO. When you come to the website, you say, "Why now?"
It's good you can use this, but for the hero section, what I'm suggesting, and it's not about me because I'm not. There are a lot of marketing experts out there who are much smarter than me. I watch these guys, and right now the trend, especially for the SaaS B2B. So far everybody was focusing on everybody tried to be, or most of the people, they tried to be creative. We want to be different, we want to be creative, which is good, is fine, it's absolutely super important. But right now a lot of people they try to focus more on clarity, and you need to be super straightforward. First of all, people, they need to understand what your product does, what is your product. So for the hero section, I'm suggesting clarity over creativity. And you can use this, why now, you can use the only way, the better way, you can present the better way during in the homepage. But for the hero section, I would suggesting to define. I would define what exactly Salestools does, and for whom, and why is this a good alternative. So, what do you think about? We have sales teams, which is the persona. We have their need to make their outbound process predictable. We have also the feature here with multi-channel prospecting. So again, maybe I'm subjective. From my understanding, this information is extracted from our discussion. What do you think? How do you feel about this?
New thing we're doing next week that we're running internally to auto reply based on your data set is so fundamentally important, because 9 out of 10 salespeople are not following up on an objection. They give up at that point. Only the best one can get through. So it's so important that, and quite frank, if you don't take your time to write it well, you lose that deal. That the model can handle your replies and handle the meeting bookings once you hit start, because then you focus on other things that make sense and provide value. And so sales team use sales tools to make the outbound process predictable. With multi-channel prospecting, and even handle all your replies, something like that.
Here you can have B2B. How many customers you can write here? How many customers do you have? And then 50, 100, 200. I don't know how many there are. If you think this is relevant. Multi-channel prospecting or sales automation. Sales trusted by
Yeah, we put in the customer number.
200 B2B SaaS companies, something like this. Because, the idea with the hero section is that you have to build trust fast. You definitely need to send the right messaging, people to understand what you are doing, and you need also to build the trust super fast. And one way to do this is you just show people who are you working with. We have 500, we have 50, 100, 200 customers. You present their logos, and then in the homepage, of course, you can integrate the testimonials. You can integrate all this social proof. This is super important, super relevant. So this requires multiple iterations. But from what we have after the discussion, the today discussion, this may be the first iteration. There is much more to do this. My suggestion is make sure you tell people from the beginning what the tool does, what is the tool. And I would suggest using this type of structure. Of course, it needs reshaping, it needs some secondary iterations. But how do you feel about this? I mean, how does this process?
It seems very similar to
what you're.
I've been through a different exercise, but yours is much easier to understand. I love that. So you got a good framework here, and it completely makes sense how you are moving, you say, the boxes into your CTA. This is your. She needs to take this one. So for me, it makes a lot of sense how we're moving the colors together to create the messaging correctly. So I like your process. I think you got a good framework, and definitely something that makes my life easier when I'm reading, because you learn a lot and then you forget it, and then when you get in front of you. And this is why consultants exist, because I have 100 hats, and if I had hats on, I would go out of the roof, right? And you forget all your knowledge if you don't work with it 24/7 every day. So to be reminded about something that sits deep inside helps you to do it. And I would say, if you haven't done it before, then for sure, then you're the guy to go to and run the entire process for people that are super busy and then work. Of course, you've got to put your own work into it, because as the founder, you're the one that knows it in the end of the day. So that's for sure important. But I think you got to spot on. I can work with the words. I need a little bit of time, probably change it a little bit around, but out of the get-go, you nailed it pretty well.
Yeah, I'm happy, and I hope this will help you. It's a process. Messaging, it's a process. Positioning, it's a process, and it's continuous process. What you define as the positioning right now, in 6 months from now, can be changed. So everything it's very dynamic. So we aimed for 45 minutes. We are a bit late, but I hope it's something useful for you. Is
No,
there
I think
anything
you
else
made
you'd
my
like
head
to
spin
add
now.
before we
And the
close
way I
this?
operate is I need to think for some hours about this, maybe sleep on it, and then I run over it in the morning with a fresh head. And then I think we gotta sit there pretty accurate. Loredana, you want to say thank you here to Daniel for a good job?
You did a great job. I want to say, actually, you know about this pin, let's say, and we were waiting for the launch to change everything. And I think I really wish you a lot of just to get as many founders early days to
They
figure
needed
this
early
out.
days.
Yeah,
See,
everybody needs it.
See, not if you look at the ecosystem, not everybody gets to go to Y company. There are only a handful of companies, and this is some of the things that will teach you there. The rest, they have the potential to go out and skip those fast learnings that they go to that particular accelerator to learn. They could come to you, which is a giant market, right? Because in the end of the day, you need your positioning right, and that is something like an accelerator like Y Company that focus deeply on, but they only take
Yes.
out of the, I don't know, 40,000 applicants, they take in 100, 200 companies twice a year, right? So they have that benefit, but yet they don't master it, many of them. But the best one that do master that are often the one that scales too. And you know, we're busy, we forget it, and sometimes certain things we don't want to communicate too early. But when you want to go mainstream, you gotta go through this exercise. So thumbs up.
Yes, it's super important. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having this podcast with you. I think you're doing an amazing job with Salestools. Now that this discussion helped me to understand the complexity of the solution and the value that you can provide. I think it's amazing, and people need to hear about this. People need to hear that you started this, and it's super important to craft your messaging, your positioning. The message is super important, the communication. So I wish you the best of luck, and let's uh, uh, let's keep in touch. If you have other questions, I'd be more than
Thank
happy
you, Daniel, for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
this
Thank you,
process
Daniel.
that you have so far.
You too. Bye.
Have a lovely day. Have a lovely day. Bye.